Welcome to Overwhelmed to Overcomer podcast with coach, encourager, and strategist Anna McLaughlin. If you're a Christian woman who has big dreams rooted in an even bigger God, but most days those dreams feel completely out of reach, trust me, I get it. As a homeschooling mama of 4, entrepreneur, investor, and all-around wearer of many hats, I am right there with you. And yet the Lord invites us to live out our God-given purpose now in the midst of the madness. So let's explore together how we can know our calling and walk in it today with clarity, with courage, with each other. It's time for you to live the life you love and love the life you live. Let's do this thing. Welcome, friends, to this next episode of Overwhelmed to Overcomer. Listen, I'm always excited about my guests, but this one's extra sweet. I'm going to introduce to you Cristi Slate. Cristi, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Cristi and I have known each other. We just did the math for 16 years, which makes her the guest that I've known the longest by like multiplications of that. And so super excited to get to connect with you, Cristi. And she's got a story to share that I think is going to stir some hearts. So get ready. In the meantime, Cristi, just tell us a little bit about you. What do you want to share?
Awesome. So Anna and I, not only have we known each other 16 years, but we got married around the same time as each other. And we had so she has 4 kids. I have 4 kids. We both have two girls and 2 boys. We had our kids right around the same time. So we did a lot of the little years together.
Yes.
So like Anna, I have homeschooled. Unlike Anna, I have homeschooled overseas. So my family has lived
new level.
different level. Yes, we're from the US, but we lived overseas for over 10 years in a couple different countries, primarily in the Caucasus Mountains in Eastern Europe. And about 3 years ago, my whole life I wanted to write books. I remember as 4 or 5-year-old when people would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would always say writer. But then life got really busy and kind of put all of that aside. And about 3 years ago, I kind of picked it back up again. So that's been kind of a new life thing for me.
Yeah. And so here's what I love. Yes, you've published a book. Yes, there's another one that's literally, when you hear this, it will have just landed. So it's beautiful because you can like go get it now. And I encourage you to go get it now. And we're going to talk about the books because I tell you what, if you're listening to this, these books are for you. Because one of the things that we were talking about, Cristi, and I feel this feeling in my bones is as our kids get older, it's not a 10-page easy reader anymore. And we want to cover them and make sure that what they're reading is going to be edifying. And yet our readers get faster and faster and faster. And you've got a young teen just like me. And tell me how many books you were saying your daughter reads in a
Oh my
week?
goodness. I have my 13-year-old is a crazy speed reader and has been since she was really little. And she reads at least 10 books a week. And I cannot keep up. I cannot keep up with pre-reading all her books to make sure the content is appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what I love about what Cristi's doing is she's really building a repertoire of books where we can just say it's a Cristi Slate novel, like go for it. And we need those, I think, as moms who really care about what's going into our children's minds. And so tell us about the books that you can introduce us to so far.
Okay. So last year I released my debut novel. It's historical fiction. So my debut novel from last year is for adults. So not what you would give to your children. It's clean, but it's, more adult subject matter. So it is based on true stories of bride kidnapping in the Caucasus Mountains. So our families lived in the Caucasus Mountains for over 10 years. And it was based on stories of local women who I interviewed who had gone through the tradition of bride kidnapping themselves, which bride kidnapping is literally exactly what it sounds like. It's where a guy will see a woman on the street, kidnap her, and force her into being his wife. Yeah, it's not as common a practice anymore. It's generally a terrible practice. It was very common. It's still practiced in different parts of Asia and also of the Caucasus Mountains. So that my historical fiction for adults is based on bride kidnapping in the days when the Soviet Union was crumbling.
Yeah. And it really, when you, I mean, it was, it was set in present day and then the 90s. It's not like it was even that long ago.
Yeah, so it's one of the dual timelines goes back and forth
It's so
between
good.
the early '90s and then a modern day like American. Yeah, so Anna's read that one.
I read it. It's great. It's awesome.
And then I'm really excited that by the time you hear this episode, I will have just released my debut middle grade fiction book. So this is for kids ages like, 7, 8 to 13, like that kind of age range. And if any of you have read the Penderlicks or the Vanderbeekers or the Moffats, like any of those big family centric, like heartwarming book series, that's kind of what I'm going for. That was my inspiration for this book series. And so I'm just releasing book one. It's called Gloria Abroad, and it is about an American family who with 5 kids, and the dad gets moved overseas for his job, and so the whole family, moves overseas. The main character is the 11-year-old daughter, and it's about all of their adjustments as a big family to life overseas. Obviously, I have a lot of personal experience,
I
and
know. I'm like, where did you get your content? I can't imagine.
I have a lot of personal experience in helping children adjust to life overseas.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that kind of contingent of kids, there's a term, TCKs stands for third culture kids who are raised not in their passport country.
Yeah.
And I feel like there aren't very many books written for or about that group of kids.
Yes.
And so that's obviously a group of kids I'm around a lot because my children are around a lot of other expat children. And so I really wanted a book, obviously that would relate to American kids, but also be geared specifically towards kids who are living in a country that's not their passport country.
I love that. And I think it's so important, especially since, for anybody who's in a church body, more often than not, there are missionary families that are being sent out from the church. And so we just had in our church, one of our missionary families come back for a couple of months and then now they're back out again. And just, talking to the children's mom about how the emotions that kind of come up as it gets closer to time to leave, and the bonds that seem to get especially tight right before everybody's flying out again, right? Let me see you one more time, one more time, one more time.
Yeah.
And then kind of that experience of the ones who stay behind, how do I help my children maintain those bonds and strengthen them so that there is a sense of, people still love you here. Like we miss you, we remember you, we want to send voice notes and take pictures of our outside and your outside, and it's just such an important component. But for kids, there for those that are leaving, they're in this completely different world. For those that stay behind, there can be this like amnesia, just like, oh, they're gone and we'll see them when they come back. And so I think it's so beautiful that you're kind of bringing the two worlds together and helping, those of us who stay behind kind of understand a little bit more. And then those who are going through it feel like, oh, I'm not alone.
Yeah,
So
that's definitely my hope.
it's beautiful. So I wanted people to just kind of get an ear for like what you're creating, because like I said, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, if it's recommended by a friend, because I can't pre-read them all, right? I'm having enough trouble pre-reading for the homeschool year, so I can't do all the like leisure books. But if it's recommended by a friend, or if I have kind of heard of the author, or it's a classic, like that's fine. And so now we have another category. If it's a Cristi Slate book, we're good. Okay. So we got a checked box there. But what I so loved about the conversation that we were having, kind of leading up to getting to talk together, is there's something really, really precious to me, and I think to each of my people who are going to be listening to this, which is that you you had a full life, raising kids and going overseas. And then now, um, you pick up writing at what, like 39 or 40, right?
Yep.
So talk to me about that, because it's all, you can always do it tomorrow. So what was that moment where you're like, today's the day?
So for me, turning 40 was that today is the day moment. I had
Something about that.
it's one of those, I think, lifetimes where you kind of pause and take stock of, this is likely a halfway point in my life, and pause and take stock of everything you've done, in your first 40 years, and then think and pray through, what you feel like God has for you for your next 40. And um yeah, so coming up on turning 40, I started to kind of, think and pray through priorities. We also had some major life transition in that season. We had to leave the country we had lived in because of a war and move to another country, and so everything got upended for us. And we basically had to completely start over with a completely, totally clean slate. And there was a lot that was really hard about that. But something that was really good about that was I had the freedom to completely start over.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have experienced when you get really in your daily life, you're really involved in all the things, and you're serving in all the different ways at church, and you're homeschooling, and you're involved in different committees, and your life is so busy, and your kids are doing extracurriculars, and thinking about starting over from scratch in an area or picking up something new can sound really, really overwhelming. So I think I had a little bit of extra freedom to do it just because everything else in our lives got totally cleared away.
Yes.
But a friend was starting a year-long arts discipleship program, and it was a program specifically for people who were very creative and loved the Lord, but had basically set aside all of their artsy fartsy side in order to, serve the Lord and homeschool and do all
Yeah.
the different things. And he called it an artist recovery program. And
Oh.
it was a really, really great opportunity. We had 8 of us from 4 countries, and doing, like, I did it for writing. We had a dancer and a sculptor and 2 musicians and a painter. Like, we had, a photographer, people in different disciplines. But all of us basically in that year-long program were kind of wrestling with what does it look like to love the Lord and serve the Lord through the creative giftings that he has placed inside of us. And I
Mm.
think for a lot of creatives, we get so busy in the work of daily life, and pausing to do creativity feels fluffy is not the right word, but it feels like
Indulgent?
indulgent. Yes, that's the right
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Yes, so pausing to do creative things just feels indulgent. It's like when I have, a sink full of dishes and diapers to change, why would I go sit at the table and pull out some watercolors and, like, watercolor a daisy?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But there's
so,
something to it. I bet you learned it in the course. Why? Why do it? Because I know someone's listening who's like, oh, it's been months. It's been
for
years.
years.
Hey, Mama, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you gave yourself some white space? I am not talking about a trip to the bathroom alone or even the grocery store. When's the last time you had what I like to call some no one needs me time? For homeschooling entrepreneurs, time like this isn't a luxury. It's actually a key component to a healthy business, homeschool, and family life. So, if you're ready for your next respite, whether it's you by yourself, you and your spouse, or a family trip, join us at our peaceful haven, Just Like Paradise, located on gorgeous Oak Island, North Carolina. This 3-bedroom house is just a short walk to the ocean and nearby restaurants. It has a screened-in back porch with fireplace that is to die for, hot tub, and even a fire pit if you're feeling ambitious. Book through the link in the show notes, and then you have a unique discount code, podcast100, to get a $100 discount on your stay as a thank you for being one of my listeners. Get your next getaway on the calendar today.
And
But there's
so,
something to it. I bet you learned it in the course. Why? Why do it? Because I know someone's listening who's like, oh, it's been months. It's been
For
years.
years. For
Yeah.
most of us in the program, it had been like, decades. Everybody in the program was like, 40s and up, basically. Um, it was so fascinating. So we read a bunch of books about like the theology of art, and something so fascinating to me that I hadn't thought about is the very first form that God reveals himself to people in Genesis is God as creator.
Yeah.
And that was so just mind blowing to me. And obviously there's all sorts of places in the Bible where God gives people creative giftings and where those creative giftings are used, whether, for the tabernacle or they're in different things throughout scripture.
That was actually the first time I remember Nate Atwood talking about this, which is the church Christy and I met through. Is the first time the Holy Spirit fell was on the artisans designing the tabernacle. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Keep going. Okay, tell me more.
But that it basically just gave me the freedom to realize that it is worth your time and it is honoring to the Lord. If he has given you creative giftings, it is honoring to the Lord that you move in those giftings and try to grow in those creative giftings that he's given to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the fruit from that? What do you remember as you start wading into these waters? Like, how did you see the Lord in a new way? How did you see the world in a new way? What happened?
It was wonderful to feel like I had permission to create, like permission from the Lord and permission to myself to that I wasn't wasting time
Yeah.
when I was, trying to grow in these creative areas and creative giftings. And so it really gave me permission to spend, 5 months writing a novel.
Yeah.
I still had to do my daily life. I basically wrote between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. because that's when all my people were asleep. And I was homeschooling, and homeschool moms know that it's really hard to get the peace and quiet you need to think straight when all your people are awake.
And I
Yeah.
love that though, because how often do we just consume when we finally have the house to ourselves? You know, we're watching a show or we're scrolling online, and not that we can't do those things, but I think when we're consuming more than producing, it leads to discouragement, isolation, frustration, even despair, of just like, what's the point? But then when you're in that creativity, I just, gosh, I love what you said about that's the first way God revealed himself. And how often do we lead with the rules? Of just like, here's what God says to do, here's what God says not to do. It's like he kind of brings people into an adventure, it feels like, is what you're describing.
Yeah, it's been really life-giving for me. And I think other moms will understand this. Motherhood can be so all consuming, and it's very easy for your identity to get wrapped up in motherhood. And so it's been really nice for me as a mom to have an outlet that is unrelated to my children
Yes.
and have an outlet that's mine, and to be able to just move and grow in an area that's something that I love. And it's been really fun too, because now 3 of my children are writing their own books.
Of course they
Um,
are, because they see you doing it, so it feels possible.
yeah, which is really funny because I have been trying, my kids like love to read, and I've been trying to convince them forever. Like, I loved to write when I was a kid. You should try writing. You would love to write. And they're like, we don't like to write. We don't want to write. And then, so I kind of stopped pushing them. And then once they saw me write, and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Now they're all like, writing their own books,
Of course they are.
which is really fun.
That's amazing. Okay, so having this outlet, like, what would you say to the woman who hasn't taken the step yet? And let's start me here first. Start me here first. Was there a point where I'm almost thinking there's two stages that come to my mind. The first is I'm just waking up to the idea that I need my own thing. And then there's the part of, okay, now I know what I would do if I were leaning in, and do I have the guts to do it? So talk to me first of like, I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah.
How do we come to know? Was there a point where you looked back and you're like, oh yeah, I used to love to write, or was it just always there?
Okay. One of the things that I really loved about this year-long program that I did is the first 12 weeks, every week we had to try something different. Like we had to try a different discipline. And I had always kind of beaten myself up over the fact that I would like jump around from different artistic disciplines. Like I'd paint for 6 months and then I go play the harp for 6 months and then I, jump around. And this gave me permission to try different things. And so that's definitely something that I would encourage people to, if you're feeling like you're wanting to move in some sort of creative giftings or something you haven't tried before, you do not have to know right away, I want to become a painter and I'm going to paint for the rest of my life, or I want to become a writer, I'm going to write for the rest of my life. Try some different things, test them out, try them on, see if they bring you joy, see if they're restful. There are things that are really restful in different seasons of your life, but your life changes. Like painting used to be so restful for me. And now with little kids who like get into my paints and stuff, painting is not restful in my current life season. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, so number one thing I would say is try the different things. Don't expect perfection, but just be willing to experiment. That's number one. And then number two, once you do find something that you think, hey, I would really love to see where this goes, I would really love to press in a little bit farther with this, accountability is really helpful. I mean, that's true in all acts of, all parts of life, right? But I had a friend who, she was like, text me your word, like, what's your word count every week? Like, what's your goal word count? Told her how many, I want to write 5,000 words a week or whatever. I set my goal word count. And she was like, just text me every week how many words you've written that week. And that was enough for me to like make me keep going.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Just having that little bit of a check. And so were there times where you texted her and you're like, it's like 1,200. It was nothing.
Yes, of course. There definitely, there were weeks where I didn't make my word count and there were weeks where I blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
And she was gracious on the weeks that I didn't make it. And she was, great cheerleader on the weeks that I did. And so that was really helpful to have her encouragement behind me.
That's amazing. So tell me about, what was the moment where you started to think, I'm a writer?
I think honestly, that's been more recently.
Oh, so not even after the first book, because the first book got published, what, a year ago, you were saying, right?
So the first book got published a year ago. It's sold thousands of copies. It's won it's won, historical fiction book awards. It's done better than I ever expected. Like we paid our rent multiple months this year from book sales, and like it's been really cool.
Wow.
I've been really, really encouraged by how it's gone. I told my husband recently, I feel like the past couple years I was learning to write a book and to publish a book. And then I feel like recently I've been learning to be an author and actually grow an author business.
Yeah.
And like make it an actual side career.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, with my first book, it kind of felt like, oh, this is a really cool hobby. Yeah. And now that, I just publishing my second book and then have multiple other books written that I haven't published yet, but that, are in the pipeline.
We're ready for them.
Yes. So now I feel like, okay, when you have multiple books out, you can kind of start to say, maybe I am an actual author and not just a hobbyist.
Yeah. And so how are you showing up differently now that you're owning it as a career?
Now that I'm owning it as a career, I am making it more of a regular part of my schedule. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of trying to put some structure to it. I'm doing all the things like getting on social media and building an email list and making a website and like the less fun things that you have to do. Like writing the book is way more fun. I remember when I first wrote a book, I was listening to this podcast on how to publish and market books. And they said being an author is 30% writing a book and 70% marketing.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way, that's ridiculous. Like it's like 90% writing a book and 10% marketing. Unfortunately, they were correct.
They're right. It's every business. Every business. If people don't know you exist, it doesn't matter how fantastic the product is. Yeah. Because they can't find it and then they won't buy it. And then and then the business stays small.
Yes. So I'm learning that. And different, I mean, everybody has a different kind of, barometer ruler for what success looks like for them. Like
Mhm.
my primary goal, I'm not trying to support my family on, income as an author. I want to write quality books that will resonate with people, and I want to tell good stories and write clean literature that, you know, moms don't have to be worried about handing to their children. And
Yes.
yeah, so those goals I think are, ones that I definitely can say that I'm meeting, which is really cool.
That's amazing. And as you were talking about, well, now that I see myself as an author, here's how I show up. One of the encouragements I got from one of my coaches is that this invitation, and so I want to just extend this to whoever is listening who's like, okay, it's time. And you know who you are because you're going to feel it in your gut a little bit and you're going to hate me a little bit right now. I won't say you'll hate Christy because she's too lovable to hate, but you might hate me a little bit right now, and I'm okay with that. Okay. You're going to feel that welling up and you're going to say, I wish I didn't even listen because I guess now I have to face the thing. Yeah, it's time. And send me a message. I'll pray for you. Christy will too. Okay. But here's the thing that what my coach said to me is you you can start operating in the role that you want today, right? Like there's a point that you can come to that says, okay, now I'm owning it. Like for Christy, I'm owning that I'm an author. You can do that before you've even written the book. The arc is what it is for each of us, but the invitation's there today. You don't have to wait until you've gone a certain length down the road, because what ends up happening is that imposter feeling is waiting for you no matter how many books you've written, right?
Sure.
like, like Christie's published, yeah, she published her first one and it was still like I wasn't quite ready yet. But then there was this shift, okay, I'm ready. I'm an author now, right? And so whatever the thing is that's just been kind of living in the background, it, today's the day, right?
Yeah,
You're
I
whatever you
definitely, it's never too late to take the first step.
want.
And one step at a time really is how you get to where you're going. When I first, so probably a year before I published my first book, I met with Anna, you know him. I met with Robert Whitlow, one
Yes.
of our mutual friends who's a New York Times bestselling author. He's published like 25 books in the past 25 years. He writes like Christian legal fiction, and he graciously agreed to meet with me. And he works full time as a lawyer. And I was like, how on earth have you managed to publish 25 books in the past 25 years, like a book a year for the past 25 years? He was like, it's really easy. You write one page a day. And if you
Mm.
write one page a day, every day, you give yourself some time for editing. Like you end up with, a 300-page book every year. And that was such a light bulb for me
Yeah.
of take a little small baby step every day. And it doesn't have to be this, massive, monumental, immediate change, but just the little small baby steps every day
Mhm.
in the direction you're aiming
Yes.
can make a big difference.
That's so good. That reminds me of a reel that somebody shared in the accountability coaching that I do. And there was this piece of wisdom that some sort of prolific whatever, I don't know who she was, but I'm sure I'm sure a lot of people know who she is. But she was being interviewed and she was talking about what her second grade teacher told her that she had thought about forever after, which was this: if the task you have before you feels overwhelming, you have not broken it down to a small enough step yet.
Oh, interesting.
Uh-huh. And so she wrote articles or something, and she said there are that there were seasons where the idea of writing an article was too much. So then it's like, well, can I write a page? If that felt overwhelming, can I write a paragraph? If that felt overwhelming, can I write a word? And there were days where the goal was to write a word. And then, of course, Christy, you know this far better than I. Once the word is on the page, then it's like, I can write five more. I can do a sentence. Okay, paragraph, here we go. Okay, now it's a page. And then before
Yeah.
you know it, you've got the next scene down, or you finish the chapter or whatever it is. And so this is the invitation that Christy and I are extending today. Chunk it down, take one step. And that one step might be just to reach out to one of us and say, okay, I'm an author. Okay, I'm an artist. Own the role. It could be, can you pray for me? Because here's the thing that's welling up in me. And I love what Christy said. If you don't know what it is, because I'm in a season of this is really like landing with me because I'm in a season where I've laid down a lot of things recently. And I think part of what's felt so disorienting in this season is that I was operating in a high level of service. And these days the outlet is a lot smaller. It's my family and it's this conversation. It's this podcast. And so it leads me to think, well, what do I need to be doing in my downtime in the evenings so that I'm writing a book instead of, watching This Is Us season 4? How can we tweak this a little bit? Because something starts to happen I got the words wrong, when we're consuming far more than we're producing.
Yeah.
And so if you're in this feeling of malaise, discouragement, what do I have to offer? Maybe that's a piece of the puzzle. How much are you producing? And that doesn't have to be like big, crazy things, but are you working in the garden? Are you bringing food over to a neighbor? Are you baking cookies for the kids and for your family or whomever? Like what's one tiny step that you can take and like Christy said, try on a lot of different things. Have fun with a creative God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Trying all the things is definitely very fun.
That to me that sounds horrifying as someone who's not very artistic. Oh my gosh, I like the idea of what I need to get back to for sure as we're having this conversation. I'm like I should get back to playing the piano. This beautiful baby grand piano that sits smack dab in the middle of our living room. And Felicia Masonheimer, who's a theologian I really like, she plays hymns for her family while they fall asleep. And I'm like, gosh, I could do that. I could do that at least. So, okay, so look, I did it. I picked a thing.
There you go.
What are you picking?
So tonight, try your playing the piano as your kids go to bed.
I will. I love it. Okay. So Christy, okay. So where do we go from here? We're gonna buy your book. We're gonna buy both your books. Okay. The Valley Between Us. Do we get to know the title of the second one?
Yes, yes. The middle grade fiction one is Glory Abroad.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I think you told us that already. Glory Abroad. I love that title. It's really
So
good.
it's the main character's name is Glory. So and they're both on Amazon.
Okay. So we're buying your books. We're staying and what next? How else can we connect with you? How can we kind of be on your boat and just say like you're one of the authors that I get to trust with my kids now?
If you go to ChristiSlate.com, and I'm sure you can link it in the show notes.
It'll be in the notes. We'll make it easy.
Awesome. Yes, it's easy there to sign up for my author email newsletter and just stay up to date. So Gloria Bond is hopefully plan A is for it to be a 5-book series. I told Anna I have the other 4 books all like outlined and mapped out, and I'm really excited about them. Yeah, so that's the best way probably to stay up to date on news, and then also I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and like I'm on all the social medias with my regular name. So
I love it.
any of those places.
I'm here for it. I know we're all here for it too. And I'm gonna make a special request because Christy's a dear friend of mine. I really believe in what she's doing. Share this episode or share her website with someone who needs to know. Because I know you've got friends who have middle grade kids. I know you've got friends who need a really great, really clean beach read right now. They need just a book to sit by their bedside table to keep them company. So share, okay? Don't keep this to yourself because this is a gift that she's offering. It's so lovely to just know there's a book that we can trust with our children. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you created. Oh, and I just have to say this too, because this is the thing. When we step into creativity, like when we're consuming, it's just for us, right? When we're producing, Christy takes a step of faith, and now these thousands of people have been edified by a story that's, that has a really beautiful nod to the Lord's redemption in the midst of the hard. And we all need to hear that. And so, just the way the kingdom of God operates, there's this multiplicative effect. And so, that's the call to you to create so that you can leave your mark, your unique mark, and share Christy and all that she's done with someone that you care about because we need to get the word out there. There are books that are clean, that are safe, and that are just such a joy. So thank you for creating, Christy.
Thanks for having me on here.
I know this was so fun.
Yeah,
All right. We'll do it when the next book comes out.
awesome.
All right. Thanks so much.
Okay,
And
bye.
bye. And to you, friend, thank you for being here. Go forth, create, find the joy in the heart of the giver as he leads you to the next step. And in the meantime, remember always, you've got this because he's got you. Friend, thank you so much for listening to this most recent episode of Overwhelmed to Overcomer. So listen, the whole idea behind this mission is that when we endeavor to be brave with our lives, we need to do it together. Belonging is key. So if you resonated with the message from this episode, share it with a friend. Do it together. Thank you again. And never forget, you've got this because he's got you.